Yeah, you're all welcome to this beautiful Sunday morning. We'll not be taking so much of your time. We just have a couple of things to deal with. And for the benefit of those that were not in the first lesson, please I advise you go back and then look at the first class that we had and Excel tips part 1 so that you can follow up even up to this very second lesson. And this Excel, when you hear the word Excel, sorry, before we go on, please, all these videos are running after the live broadcast. They are published on our Facebook page, Barra IC Tech Resources. You also find copies of this on our YouTube channel, the same Barra IC Tech Resources. So don't be left out. Get yourself equipped with these tools and your life will never remain the same. So back to our lesson. Now, Excel is called a workbook. When just like in Microsoft Word, when you open a work to do, we call it a document. In CorelDRAW we call it graphics, and so on. We also in Excel we call this one workbook. If you look here, it's written book one because the workbook. And for every book you open, if you look down here, you see 3 sheets: sheet 1, sheet 2, sheet 3. These are the 3 sheets we have by default. Mind you, we're using Excel 2010, and if you need more sheets, you could as well insert worksheets. The shortcut key is given there as Shift F11. Now, what's the essence of this worksheet? Let's take, for instance, you're working for a school. Let's say my alma mater, Bristol Secondary School, and you want to do a work that touches JSS1, JSS2, and JSS3. You could as well come down here and present those work differently on this sheet. Sheet 1 may be assigned to JS1 may be assigned to sheet 1, JS2 may be assigned to sheet 2, and JS3 may be assigned to sheet 3. How do we now name them? You could do 2 things. Either you double click on this sheet this way, it says it's highlighted black, and then you write JSS1, or another simpler way, or another way you could do that is to right click on the sheet this way. When you right click on the sheet, you go up there and then you click on rename, and I can name here as JSS2, and then finally let me double click, but this one is faster for me, and I have JSS3. There we go. So if the sheets are not enough for you, you could as well click on insert new worksheet to get as much worksheet that you desire. Hope we are following. Now let's go on. We have sheet at every point in time. You should know the worksheet you're working on. As you click, you see they are being highlighted: JSS1, JSS2, JSS3. Now in Excel, most of the works that we do, sometimes there are words that you finally end up printing. So there's every need for you to set up your page, set up your paper that we're working on. Because if you look at this workbook and this sheet, I'm working on sheet 1, JS1, you observe that this is the beginning. A1 is the beginning, but with your mere physical eyes you can't actually tell where the worksheet ends. Working this way is like walking blindly. So the first thing you do is to come to your page layout, go to size. Mind you, this is a page setup. Go to size. It's true that A4 is selected already, but you need to click on it again to bring out your marker. You see these broken lines? This is a page divider. Yeah, this is a page divider. It's not like Microsoft Word where you have a very big gutter to tell you that this is the end of a page. This is a page divider. From A1 down to I1, this is the end of my page. If you look at an A4 paper, this is the end. And when you scroll down, you see the end, the height. This is where the height ends. So this is the width and this is the height. So anything that goes, if I come to cell A50 and I type 50 for instance, and I go to cell A51 and I type 100, mind you, as thin as this line is, these two different values are on different pages. Very, very important to take note of that, because we'll be doing much about that. So let me delete them since we're not working with them. So let's go back to the beginning. Now, we want to start by doing, I told you initially that Excel has to do with relationship. You are relating one cell with another cell. So in our last lesson, I just gave an example of how you can stay in a particular cell and call out a cell, a value from another cell, and it will appear. That's what we talked about formatting. So we're going to start by looking at simple arithmetics, in Excel. And when I'm talking about arithmetics, simple ones, we talk about subtraction, we talked about addition, multiplication, and then division. These are the ones we are going to begin with. I know this lesson is purely for newbies. So we will not jump the steps. We'll be taking it gradually, and just like the hill, we start from the foot of the hill, right on the ground there, and then we'll climb up to the peak of it. So let me populate here with values. This A1 I have 60, B1 I have 70, C1 35, and then D1 67. So let's begin by saying this. First, we are looking at addition. We are taking this to be values that you want to, at the end of your work, add up. Very, very simple. There are two ways to do this. First thing, I told you everything we talk about, when you talk about equation in equation in Excel, the first thing you type is your equal sign. When you type your equal sign, then the variables, the values that you want to add, you bring them in. So there are two ways to do that. I could say I'm going to add up in my E1. So equal to what? I'm going to add A1. If you want, you can type A1 plus, where your plus is located on your keyboard, B1. I don't want to type B1 again. I could click here, just B1. You see, it will get there. Then plus C1 plus C1. Having done that, sometimes one of my tutors used to tell me then that it's good we put them in brackets. In bracket, I say it's still in parentheses, still okay. But since we are beginning, a time is coming when we actually obey that very, very well. So I have A1, and when I click that side, look at what happened. You got 200, meaning everything here have been added up. So now, initially I told you that apart from your name bars here, we have what we call formula bar. If I click on this 200, you see the formula bar is telling you what and what came together to give you this value. That means we have A1 plus B1 plus C1 plus C1. Please, there's an error here. Yes, it wrote there C1 instead of D1. So what happened? I can come straight to my value here and then delete this C and add D, and then press enter. It will give me this value called 232. Initially as I was typing, I mistakenly clicked outside even before I could capture the D1. Now the sum total is 232. I hope we are following. Being 232, we could as well try another way we can do this. So let me click here and delete it up. Come back to my equal to, and I'm going to use my summation. There are formulae that have been actually put up in Excel. They have global names. You don't change them, and those formulae help us to do one or two arithmetics. So one of the first one we are going to look at, we call them functions. One of the first function we're going to look at is the summation function, which is called SUM, standing for summation. For every function that are being encapsulated in Excel, when you type them accurately, that are going to drop down here. Understand? See, this is the one I'm using now. So having type function sum, please don't go and type summation because you know how to spell. No, the accepted one is sum. Having done sum, I will bring out my bracket open. Having brought my bracket open is telling me something. I should insert my number 1. My number 1 is A1, which is 60. But instead of inserting my number 2, because the next, after the first value, you have to put comma. When you put comma, you see the next one highlighted is number 2, which is what? B1, comma, C1, and then finally D1. When I'm done typing, I close my bracket and then press enter. What did you get? You get 232, the same value. Then to make the whole thing very short, let's delete this and then do it appropriately. I don't really appropriately, but a very shorter and very sharp way to do that. Now when I do equal to and I do sum, I open my bracket. What are you summing? I'm summing from A1. Then you drop in a column. That column means 2. That's TO. You are summing A1 to a particular value. So I'm summing A1 to D1. And I close my bracket. Having closed my bracket, I press enter. The same 232. You see, it's faster. Why we prefer to use this as in sum A1 to D1 is because sometimes the values will be laid out so long that you won't bug yourself, picking them one after the other. It doesn't make sense. So that's why we need to just, bridge that gap. How do we bridge the gap? By using column. Say sum A1 to D1. And that is about summation. Hope we are together. So that is about, addition. Now, everything I've done, please, it's not very, very hard. Whatever you see me do, you do. For instance, I may return a value in F7. This is F7, mind you, we talked about cells. This is cell F7. I may decide to say, okay, I want to multiply 60 by 3. This 60 I want to multiply by 3. What do? I'll say equal to 60 multiplication. That asterisk on your keyboard is multiplication. Please don't go and type X like this. No, computer Excel doesn't understand that. The asterisk, for most of us that do computer, either as a full course or as a, should I call it, elective, all those kind of courses you do combine while you're in 100 level. Asterisk stands for multiplication. So you can multiply A1 multiply by, okay, let's use the values we have here, by B1. And when you press enter, you have 4,200 as your value. So when you come back and change the B1 down to 5, as you're pressing enter, it changes to 300. That's 60 multiply by 5, which is what? 300. So as you keep changing the values, your arithmetic here, keep changing. Hope we are following. Then, mind you, this is bit by bit. This is just on addition, multiplication, and what have you. I've told you division is different from multiplication. Multiplication is different from addition. So whatever you see me applying with addition, you can also do that with multiplication. Just know the signs. And you are good to go. Are we together? So going back to our summation, if I'm here, for instance, I've typed A1, B1, C1, D1, and I want to add it up with no stress. You can go to your keyboard, hold down your alternate key, and then press your plus, where you see plus written on the, where you have, before your function keys lined up. The next lineup is 1, 2, 3. Just hold your Alt key and then press on plus. Is what happened? It's going to bring out, sum equal to sum, bracket open, A1 to D1, and all you just need to do is to press enter. That gives us 167. I hope this makes a whole lot of sense. Are we together? So let's do this finally. It's just supposed to be a 5 minutes or so class, so that we'll be taking it bit by bit, so that you don't miss out in whatever we are going to do. So let's say I line up values. We have 50, we have 90, we have 100, we have 500, and down here in A6 I want to add up every value here from 60 down to 500. How do I go about it? Using the shortest formula we have, or the shortcut keys we have. I'm just gonna hold down Alt key, alternate key, and I'm going to press plus. You see what has happened? Excel is designed such a way, it figures out what you want to do. I think there's some bit of AI, artificial intelligence here. Now it sums up A1 down to A5 for you, and you press enter. That's all, and you have 800 registered for you. So that is how we go about adding up things, and subtracting. Subtraction is a hyphen, the one we call hyphen on the keyboard. Just after your zero, your hyphen written this way, that's your subtraction. Your division is this one. / is your division, and then just like I said, your plus is already there, that's addition, and then you have your multiplication. So I think with this, someone out there might have gotten some tips that will help him or her to do a little work on whatever that is left on their table. So please feel free to ask questions. You can come up on our Facebook page and chat me up, and then I'm going to respond very, very swiftly. If there was any point in time every point in time in our class that you got so missed out a lot of stuff, and you want us to put you on track, feel free to do that. So this will be the end of our class, and please go to our YouTube channel, Barra ICT Resources, and follow us, like our videos, and then your life will never remain the same. So for now, this is where we are going to stop, and I hope there is something in your hands now. So keep your watch on this page, as we'll be populating we'll be populating the page with a lot of Excel tips that will help you build your career and your everyday life. Thank you. I remain Bara Collins. Thank you for watching. Thank you.